essentially we start from one basic assumption that you have to buy into, which is anything that can be measured, anything that has a digital trail that is being recorded somewhere can be automated. I think probably the best recent example of this is self-driving. For the longest time, right, self-driving seemed like something that very hard to complete at many nines of precision. But now that, cars are accumulating miles and miles every day, it's definitely within reach. So you can think of self-driving as a measurement problem. Once we had enough vision, enough information recorded through sensors or not, we can reproduce a human driving a car with high fidelity. So if you've ever seen, recently a Waymo or a Tesla with FSD, it looks and feels like a human driver. We kind of replicated that behavior. In fact, to some extent, they're probably safer than many humans on the road at the moment. So if you believe that that's true, and that's going to be replicated throughout the economy, then it's very clear that measurability is a really important dimension. And measurability really divides and forks between what we can measure as humans, and of course, our cognitive capabilities, our intelligence is still different than the new alien intelligence that we're growing with these models. There's going to be some things that we're better at measuring and understanding. Often it's because, look, since you were born, you kind of measured things subconsciously, right? You've seen events, you've made decision, you've seen causality in action. Professionally, you've probably seen instances of a certain problem and kind of what the edge cases and those out of distribution events look like. The whole difference between kind of a junior employee and a senior one is like the senior is just seeing more things and they're calibrated, right? Whether they're a doctor or an engineer, they can look at the same evidence than a junior and make a completely different decision. Maybe because they're weighting past experience in a different way, right? So the weights in their brain are different than the junior. They've achieved some level of mastery. But agents also have measurability, right? So they've learned everything that's on the web. They've read every book. They've been fed all sort of interesting proprietary data. There are things that a human cannot keep in their brain that the agent can. And so you have on one side what the agent can measure, and on the other side what we can measure. And of course, there's a ton of overlap. And that's why I think people are feeling increasingly that the term AGI is almost like pointless. It is clear that we're going to have near AGI really soon and probably some flavor of AGI. The two intelligence won't be exactly the same, right? So there's still going to be some differences. You already see it, right? Some of these agents are way more capable than us at some things, and then they fall flat, if you ask them to write a funny joke. In that gap lies the problem. And this is where verification is really born. In the area where the agent can do things, but we cannot fully verify them, we kind of have to trust the agent. And it's pointless to ask the agent to verify itself. I think we're going to use all sort of AI to verify AI when things are measurable. But when things are kind of not measurable by us, things get a little bit more dicey. And sure, you may get lucky and the agent may do the right thing kind of out of the box, maybe because it learned some principle of physics that turned out to be the ones we want, but it may also not do. And I think we've seen historically instances where these models were trained and developed some really weird alien preferences that had nothing to do with the original human intent.